something that blue-collar people have experienced for at least 200 years. And I think only in about the 80s did it begin to hit the white middle class, white-collar occupations, and that's the experience of losing one's job. You know, I can't forget the line in there that somebody said to you, whom I guess you know you had worked with, and after he lost his job, he said, "I thought I would fall down in the street," which is, you know, I have read that next to losing a child, losing a job is the most traumatic thing that can happen to somebody. Tell us a little bit about how people in New York and elsewhere, I guess, white-collar people have reacted to this kind of thing, what it has meant to them, what they have done, who went down to future successes, who did not, and why. I don't mean who in terms of names, but
no, but not in terms of names. But I am stunned by the drama of New York. It is Shakespearean. People who I don't need to name, at least 3 or 4, with huge profiles, went down. You see it, and you see it in the financial world. It's staggering. It's really amazing. You can have everything one minute and not have it the next. So I guess one solution to that is to not have too much. But yes, I've had friends who, I lost a job. I've had friends who lost jobs. And actually, this isn't in the book, but one of my friends lost his job, and his wife called and said, "Bob just lost his job. Could you come over?" In other words, it's like a death in the family, and the close friends were supposed to come over and be there with him. It was a death. That was amazing.
do you think that until the last 10 or 15 years, well, let me put this a different way. It's my conception, I may be wrong, that until the mid-90s, after a time when losing one's job had become a well-entrenched phenomenon, if I may put it in that perverse way, one didn't get a lot of sympathy from others because the general idea was there's something the matter with you if you lost your job. Certainly that would have been the case in the 50s and the 60s. What's your sense of that?
Oh, but I think the world has changed through globalization. I've seen this because I worked at the New York Times for many years, and when I was first there, we had what was uncharitably called deadwood. That is to say, people who no longer did anything and were in their 50s, but they were protected by this corporation. They just were going to be there until they retired, and we had unions, strong unions. Now, a lot of people I know who work for these big companies, Time and the New York Times, and also, they're downsized, as we know. And downsizing is actually, in a way, not their problem. It's a larger economic problem, but it's still terrifying.
Yeah.
I think any sophisticated person realizes that they didn't get thrown off the job because they're a drunk, but it's still scary. The world has changed.
This destroys some people forever. Others end up saying years later that despite the horrendous nature of the experience, it was the best thing that ever happened to them because they've gone on to greater successes. What accounts for the difference in results for people? I mean, luck always plays a role, but aside, who was it that recently said, anybody who's very successful and says that luck has nothing to do with it is a damn liar. But aside from luck, what are the traits that you think govern whether somebody will come out of this more successful than ever, or at least equally successful, or come out of this with their life permanently devastated?
I think there are two things. One is what they call, a wonderful phrase, a talent for luck. In other words, you have luck, but your entire life and work have prepared you for the luck that comes along, so that it's not serendipitous entirely. It's the luck that comes to you because you deserve it.
The residue of preparation, as Brantricky said.
Yeah, good. But I think also it can destroy you, but you just have to, there's a kind of stamina and tenacity that's just a human trait. Some people have it and some don't, and that is that you're just not going down. And
have a peace with the idea that one doesn't quit.
Yeah, and you don't know that you're not quitting. It doesn't feel like not quitting.
Yeah.
But somehow you are pushing on.
Yeah.
And that's, you've got to do that.
Yeah.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law. the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.